Have you ever stopped to think about what truly makes Batman one of the most iconic heroes of all time? Sure, his intelligence and skills are unparalleled, but what really defines him is the depth and complexity of his enemies. In today's video, we're diving into something far beyond what you're used to seeing in movies or series about the Dark Knight. We're entering the minds of the 10 greatest villains Batman has ever faced. These dark figures haven't just shaped Gotham, they've shaped Batman himself. Stick with me until the end, because I'll reveal which of these villains left a lasting mark on Batman's life, and maybe on yours as well. To understand the greatness of Batman's villains, we first need to understand the essence of the hero himself. Bruce Wayne isn't just a billionaire with high-tech gadgets, he's a victim of tragedy, someone who carries the weight of his parents' death and uses it as fuel to fight crime in Gotham City. The city itself isn't just a backdrop, it's a reflection of the darkness within Bruce. And it's the villains that emerge from that darkness who force him to confront his own limitations. Each of Batman's main antagonists has an emotional connection to him, whether challenging his morality or forcing him to rethink his approach to fighting crime. They're not just criminals, they represent fears, traumas, and deep ethical questions. That's what sets Batman's villains apart from those of other heroes. They're not merely figures he needs to defeat, but parts of himself he needs to overcome. With that in mind, let's dive into the core of this story. The 10 greatest Batman villains, those who shaped his journey as both a hero and a human being. 10. Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange is one of Batman's earliest villains and also one of the most underrated. As a psychiatrist, he is obsessed with understanding Batman's mind and unmasking him. Strange is one of the few villains who has discovered Batman's true identity, making him a constant threat. Furthermore, he attempts to replicate Batman, often creating distorted versions of the hero in his quest to become him. Strange's obsession goes beyond the ordinary. He doesn't just want to defeat Batman, he wants to become what he believes to be a better version of the hero. This makes Hugo Strange one of the most psychologically dangerous villains, as he understands Batman in ways that few others can. 9. Poison Ivy, Pamela Isley. Pamela Isley, or Poison Ivy, is an eco-terrorist with a clear goal: to protect the environment at any cost. With the ability to control plants and poison her victims, Poison Ivy stands out because of her motivation, which goes beyond simple crime. She truly believes she's saving the planet from humanity's destruction. This puts her in direct conflict with Batman, who tries to balance justice and Gotham's preservation. Although often underestimated, Ivy is a literal force of nature, and her noble intentions make her actions even more dangerous as she believes she's doing the right thing. 8th, Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze. Mr. Freeze is one of Batman's most tragic villains. His motivation isn't power or chaos, but to save the life of his frozen wife, Nora. This desire turns him into a villain, as he's willing to do anything to ensure Nora's survival. Fry's literal and emotional coldness makes him a dangerous enemy, but also an incredibly human one. He represents how far someone can go for love, even if it leads them to commit terrible crimes. 7. Scarecrow, Jonathan Crane. Jonathan Crane, also known as Scarecrow, exploits the deepest fears of his opponents. Using his fear toxin, he forces Batman to confront his greatest psychological weaknesses, making him an incredibly dangerous enemy. Scarecrow doesn't seek power or wealth, he just wants to see terror in people's eyes. His ability to manipulate the mind is what makes him a true threat to Gotham, and his desire to explore Batman's deepest fears puts the two on a continual collision course. Before we continue, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep going. 6. The Riddler, Edward Nygma. The Riddler is the embodiment of intellectual obsession. Unlike other villains who rely on physical violence, Nygma uses his genius to create mental challenges that test Batman's deductive abilities. He believes that if he can defeat Batman intellectually, it will prove his superiority. The Riddler represents the cerebral side of the challenges Batman faces, showing that not all villains rely on brute force to stand out. His intricate riddles and complex plans make him one of the most intriguing antagonists. 5. Bane is one of the few villains who has literally broken Batman. Incredibly strong and a brilliant strategist, Bane is the result of years of training and experimentation. He didn't just defeat Batman physically, he broke him mentally, something few villains have managed to do. The famous Nightfall arc cemented Bane as one of the greatest challenges in Bruce Wayne's life. He's more than a physical villain, he's a complete threat, capable of manipulating, destroying, and rebuilding Gotham according to his own will. 4. Catwoman, Selina Kyle. Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, is more of an anti-heroine than a villain at times. The complexity of her relationship with Batman goes far beyond physical confrontations. She is a skilled thief, but with a strong moral code, often placing her in a gray area between hero and criminal. The romantic tension between her and Bruce Wayne makes their interactions even more fascinating, as both seem to see something in each other that draws them together, even though their lives stand on opposite sides of the law. 3. Two-Face, Harvey Dent. Few villains are as tragic as Harvey Dent, the once promising district attorney of Gotham who was physically and psychologically scarred. Before becoming Two-Face, Dent was one of Batman's greatest allies in the fight against crime. However, a series of tragic events led him to develop an obsession with duality and luck. His transformation symbolizes the fragility of sanity and morality, showing that even a hero can be corrupted. Two-Face isn't just a villain, he's a constant reminder of the thin line between good and evil. 2. Ra's al Ghul. The immortal leader of the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul, offers Batman a complex moral dilemma. With the promise of restoring balance to the world through extreme methods, Ra's is more than a mere criminal. He's a visionary who believes in destruction for renewal. His respect for Batman as the detective sets him apart from other villains, and his immortality only amplifies the threat he poses. Ra's challenges Batman's vision of justice, constantly trying to corrupt the hero with the idea that the ends justify the means. 1. The Joker. When we think of Batman villains, the Joker is undoubtedly the first name that comes to mind. More than just an antagonist, he is chaos personified. With no true goal beyond spreading anarchy, the Joker is the antithesis of Batman in every way. While the Dark Knight seeks order and justice, the Joker delights in subverting those ideals. His ability for psychological manipulation and his unpredictable nature make him the greatest challenge Batman has ever faced. And it's this symbiotic relationship of opposites that makes the Joker one of the greatest villains of all time. So, which of these villains do you think impacted Batman the most? Who do you believe shaped the Dark Knight in the most profound way? Let me know in the comments and stay tuned, because the Batman universe still has many dark and exciting stories to offer.